Hey.
Welcome. Matt, whereabouts are you these days?
Seoul. I'm in Seoul right now. It's 2 a.m. Just walked out of the casino. Just killing some time.
Nice.
Farmer, you'll be in Singapore, right?
I will be there. I will be speaking at a couple of things. So looking forward to that. I think Bunzi just has some mic issues, so let me just try and get him back up here. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there just for a week, which is a bit annoying, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
GM. Am I coming in now? My headphones are acting like Bluetooth headphones, unfortunately.
Big time coming.
Big time coming. Big one. Selecta. What is good? You're going to Singapore? You're singing to the poor people?
Wait, what was that,
Wait,
Bunzi? I
you're singing to poor people? Is this like some type of charity event?
No, sir. No, sir. It's token 2049. You got to FOMO in
Dude,
and head on over with the rest of the crew.
is that when the
Um,
metaverse is going to be here? 2049?
I actually don't even know the story on why they named it token 2049. I imagine in the year 2049, are they just gonna go 2050 and just
2069, dude. That's the banger.
yeah. I mean that's what you should start, Mr. Bonzi.
Dude,
Anyways, GM, welcome everybody to another episode of Bitcoin Builders. Joined here by awesome co-hosts. Well, just one really, but Matt's also kind of co-hosting as well. Usually, also an awesome dude. But joined here with Bunzi, Arch Network, of course, and Matt, who leads Arch Network, which obviously has been kind of the talk of the town more recently, especially as the white paper more recently dropped, which got everyone excited. So hopefully we can get kind of diving in deep in deep there. I mean, look, Bitcoin DeFi has suddenly been rebranded as BTC Fi, SlowFi, and other ways. I don't know what your favorite kind of branding towards Bitcoin DeFi is. But I'm seeing BTC Fi kind of come up in a lot of teams, kind of missions, objectives more recently. And I think that really kind of comes from like the Ethereum community of using wrapped Bitcoin or staked Bitcoin in like Babylon or something like that and restaking it to other chains. So like omni-chain Bitcoin DeFi would be BTC Fi, on-chain BTC DeFi would be Bitcoin DeFi, and then I guess SlowFi is just the 10-minute block time. Anyways, Bunzi, what's up? How are you doing?
oh man, I'm doing good. I don't know. I like just BTC Fi. Slow Fi is also appropriate, but just Win Fi basically is when like I'm really looking at this for because I don't know. It's interesting. People are like, oh, when we get these swaps, when we get these things, and you know, some of those are coming, but I do think the Bitcoin community is not okay with trust minimized like bridges and all of these things. So like as these solutions really get refined and there's no oopsie daisies in any of these bigger transactions, we're going to see really deep liquidity start getting activated, and maybe some of these like Bitcoin whale wallets that Udi screams about possibly doing some transactions that make us lose our minds. But no, I'm doing good. I've been deep researching Fractal as that I believe is going to mainnet on the 9th, which is a few days from now. um, but the more I research it, the more I'm kind of like, this is a pretty cool VC chain attempt. But yeah, uh, I'm doing good. And now we got Matt and Robert. Robert's PFP every time. You kind of got the most goated one. This guy, there's
Dude,
something about that PFP, dude. Like,
Bunty, I mean, I know we're talking about BTC Fi. I guess it kind of rings off the tongue pretty well, quite a lot. But I mean, there's just so much to actually talk about over the last little few weeks on the ordinal side. You know, I kind of think that we all kind of started from the ordinal side of things, but I guess the couple of big announcements are Raktoshi officially announcing he is the founder, or rather co-founder of Ordinals, and at the same time Node Monkeys themselves. So I think that's a big one. I mean, you know, there's a lot that has been going on in this space to the downwards trajectory. I don't even know where Bitcoin price is these days. For my own sanity, I just don't check anymore. So if it's at 54K, please spare me, because I'm gonna go back to food stamps living if so. But yeah, obviously the big news this week, two things, and Magic Eden will come up here in the next little while too, to share kind of some product updates on the marketplace side related to ordinals, which I think is super exciting, and certainly makes the user experience, you know, better for large sweepers in a lot of ways. But I guess the how question is really what we're going to try and get out of certain people that will join. But yeah, I guess, you know, first off, like, how are we feeling about Raktoshi claiming to be the co-founder of Ordinals and Node Monks? Is that bullish for Node Monks itself? I mean, he still does own quite the majority of, or I guess, a large percentage of the supply of Node Monks. But overall, like, Node Monks are kind of crypto punky vibes on Bitcoin, and I think that's kind of why we had this insurgence of Ethereum enjoyers come to the ecosystem. And I think at the peak, node monks were like zero point 0.8 BTC. Robert, you know this better than me, but you know, were they zero point 0.8 or were they zero point 0.6? I can't really recall. They were only there for a brief moment in time, as it usually kind of happens. But yeah, what's your take on node monks? I mean, you're rocking one right now. Is this bullish, bearish, neutral? Like, you know, does it take away the founder risk in some capacities?
Yeah, first of all, hello guys. Nice to be chatting again. I don't think Roktoshi's actually publicly said that he is associated with NodeMonks yet. I mean, I think it's like the unspoken thing that everyone just knows is that he is associated. But like in the tweet he put out, he didn't actually say, like, he didn't actually tie himself back to NodeMonks, at least
Oh shoot,
officially
I
yet.
must have leaked that alpha then. But I
No,
guess
no,
it's
everyone has. Everyone has, honestly. I mean, even Good Things, a big supporter of Node Monks, has like very publicly said multiple times. Like, I think it's just the sort of known secret at this stage. But what's interesting about the Rock Toshi tweet is, one, like, Rock Toshi's a very smart guy. I've had some really good, like, hour long chats with him over the phone. But two things here. One, he said he's a co-founder of Ordinals, and first of all, I think, like, calling yourself a co-founder of a decentralized, well, not decentralized, but like open source, cross collaborator project is just like a little fried. I think, just for what it's worth, it just seems like a little bit disingenuous to everyone that contributed early on. But secondly, it seems like, I mean, we're reading into this potentially, and I'm just causing drama for the sake of it, but he's not following any of the original founders on Twitter, right? And he follows a fair amount of people, but like, I'm assuming there's got to be some sort of trouble in paradise if he's not following, Casey, Raph, or Ordinally on Twitter. Like, I am still curious to get more of the take on this from the other, like, quote unquote co-founders, or at least the founders of the Ordinals Institute itself, to get a bit more context, because clearly there's been some trouble in paradise, but you never know. We'll have to see
Yeah,
what
I mean,
occurs.
I think everyone's just a little curious as why he's no longer there, and you know what his ambitions were kind of coming in. And I think that's kind of the tricky part is, maybe he wanted ordinals to be a separate meta protocol to monetize it, similar to like RGB counterparty and other things. Maybe he just had this natural inclination to, build a business around it where Casey and Raf wanted to make it and keep it open source and true to Bitcoin. I suspect that's likely the direction. Just given his path of being, to my understanding from a high level optics point of view, a pretty good business savvy ordinals creator. Kind of got on the ground very early. Identified things that were large enough and at scale to be successful, and really just focused on a couple things like rocks and node monks, at least to my knowledge, as the big moments of showcasing things on Bitcoin that can be sizable and scalable. Like, if he wasn't a business savvy individual, he would focus on degen mints and launch 10Ks over and over and over again, and really, I guess extract sequentially or whatever. But at least he had some understanding that there are pillars to build in an ordinals NFT ecosystem. And obviously he was one of those people that built those pillars. He understood that inscribing rocks on Bitcoin was, a meta to kind of meme from the Ethereum community. He understood that, a good NFT chain needs a, solid 10K collection that is unique in its own form, that is kind of aligned in culture. And I think NodeMonks executed that successfully. You could argue that initially it was going to be a free mint and all that kind of stuff, but I think the reality is it was never going to be a free mint, especially if rock was behind it. You look at the rocks themselves; those weren't free. Historically speaking, it doesn't really sound like he's the type of character to do things for the public good. And quite honestly, I think because node monks had a mint price associated with them, it was actually a better distribution than launching them for free. That being said, a percentage of the collection to the founder themselves, or the originating team that put this all together, maybe that's up for debate. But when we talked about this, Robert, Yuga Labs, if I'm not mistaken, did something similar to this degree with CryptoPunks, and they're still one of the largest holders of CryptoPunks. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so well, Larva Labs, like the original creators of CryptoPunks, they held 10% of their collection, and they sold them off, over time, some of them at, Sotheby's, some of them just on the marketplace, like, and they had about 400 when they sold the entire collection and the rights to Yuga Labs. And then Bored Apes were a paid mint as well. I know some people like funnily enough, was pitching a pretty well-known VC in the Ethereum space that's giga, CryptoPunk exposure, massive bull on Ethereum NFTs, and they like are not really involved in Bitcoin ordinals, and they picked up on all of the drama associated with node monks. And sure, I know you touched on some of the benefits of the node monks distribution for sure, and I agree with those 100%. But I think a lot of people were soured with the kind of like broken promises, the promise of a free mint and all of the hype being built on that. And then, kind of like abusing that in a way to then max extracts on the mint. Definitely, I think soured some people. For what it's worth, I minted regardless. Like I'm a big fan. Obviously, I'm rocking one as a PFP. I do think the node monks have a very special place on Bitcoin, and always will as one of the top PFP collections. There's some great builders and Bitcoin community like ecosystem folks that are rocking them, which you love to see. Bitcoin getting that sort of like exposure, as a byproduct of the PFP. And yeah, node monks, like the way I see it now is there's definitely some drama in the inception. The founder, whether that's Rock or whatever, is definitely controversial, and it's not without its controversies, unlike CryptoPunks had, but they are very special. They look great as PFPs. It's unique art. They're super recognizable, and yeah, I'm just a big fan. We don't like there are a lot of collections, I think, in in ordinals that have dilutive risk, right? You know, where it's sort of Yuga Lab style, like there's consistently more artwork being sold or delivered. So you always have that risk as a holder, but node monks don't seem to have that, right? Node monks have established them early on as the first 10K on Bitcoin. It's not like node monks, you know, part of it is, you know, this, that, and the other. Like the node monks are pure. It's just 10,000 pieces of art now and forever. So no dilutive risk there, and that's one of the reasons that I'm well, probably the biggest reason for me that I'm excited to hold them is just this no dilutive risk. You know, it's just got its place in history, and if you like him, you like him.
Well, look, speaking of pure, the puppets are definitely a community that is not pure, but from a distribution perspective, much, much more pure. I mean, look, everything has kind of hair, and even the puppets themselves. If I recall, they were minted on OrdKit or one of those launch pads, and a large amount of the supply actually went to, bot mentors. Obviously a lot of these were distributed very cheaply, and made their way to the diamond-handed degen community that they currently reside in. But look, like having a very systematic, clear-cut distribution model, I don't think there's any single successful project that didn't have some level of controversy around it with the mint itself. Be it the mint price, be it kind of, the free mint to the Dutch auction style mint to being botted. I mean, look, we're dealing with an open blockchain, and there's people that are, maybe technically savvy and competent to build around some of these limitations on distribution, which obviously stirs up some noise. But at the end of the day, um, I think the node monks and the puppets themselves, quantum cats and so forth, OMBs, they certainly established themselves as Lindy, and really are blue chip kind of collections at this point. Where the future kind of holds for ordinals and NFTs is a topic of debate. I'm hoping Magic Eden actually joins in the next little while, primarily because they're focused on removing some aspects of the trading experience that limit large sweepers from receiving their orders. Commonly referred to as mempool sniping is still commonplace, and I know we kind of discussed this in prior shows about that being kind of true to Bitcoin and being true to crypto in general. There is, I guess, mempool or transaction sniping that can exist on Ethereum as well, and does happen very oftentimes with gas wars and fee wars. But obviously, the 10-minute block times make it much more, I would say, accessible to the public, which a lot of these tools have started to build around. I mean, the most recent Magic Eden tweet was something along the lines that they're trying to fully protect transactions. And when they join, I'm going to ask them some questions around that, because I think that's quite an interesting objective to do. To my understanding, it's not possible without some level of custody risk associated with it, for better and for worse. I think this is a topic of debate where, do we really care about custody or self custody at the core of it? Can we trade off some security assumptions on Bitcoin to make it a better environment, to add more programmability and features? I think, yeah, we're at this point where we've exhausted a lot of the options of building truly on Bitcoin in a true non-custodial way. And so we're adding elements of custodial risk or elements of custody or elements of, I would say smart contract trust or other blockchain trusts elements to increase what we can do on the L1. And I think, at the end of the day, the users will go where the experience is the best, and what allows them to do what they truly want. I mean, that's obviously my framework. Look at Solana. Oftentimes, it is viewed as a very centralized chain, and for good reason. When it kind of got off the ground, it was permissioned by the node operators, which were, large institutions and so forth. FTX being, obviously one of them. But it's allowed them to build the most fruitful high speed trading engine that really exists from any chain. And Robert, I know we share the same view of like Bitcoin L2s are really competing against Solana, and that couldn't be more true, over and over again. Tron had its kind of meme era, and I guess still does. Tron looks like it's kind of dying down on the meme era. Obviously, memes across the board have fallen off the cliff, but it's kind of a cycle, right? Like anything in crypto kind of moves upwards and downwards at high velocity. And we're kind of entering like this trialing time where, the market's testing, do you have that dog in you? Yeah. Enough about random rambling. Yeah, Bunsey, kind of wanted to hear what your thoughts are on a lot of the things that I mentioned.
Dude, what did you just talk about? No, um, I think that Solana is going to eat Ethereum's lunch, therefore, kind of become a very much de facto, DeFi solution. So the narrative alone, it's pretty crazy. Why ordinals worked over something like counterparty or things in the past is just timing and narrative. Because we all sit here specifically in the Bitcoin space, larping like technical experts, where a lot of us are, and there's a lot of very smart people, but at the same time, what it all boils down to is social consensus and volume. And we've seen other chains do the wash trading, and most of us have fell victim to that. And why that doesn't occur on Bitcoin is because of the friction of the fees, and things like that can't take place. But on Solana, like it's ran by bots. Like all 90% of the trading activity is bots, but you kind of need that for AMMs and for arbitrage and for a lot of these things that occur. But I'm kind of talking in circles, but I do think my gut feeling is we start to explore Opcat's true functionality through Fractal and Bells, which is a fork of Litecoin similar to Doge, but has way more flexibility and upgradability with the team that's working on it. Why I mentioned Fractal and Bells is because we have this thesis of Opcat coming and saving Bitcoin due to concatenation and due to its ability to make um, settlement and execution on layer one Bitcoin possible. Now we'll have platforms and ecosystems with active users to really trust out those use cases. So what I'm doing is really keeping my hands dirty on Fractal and Bells, doing as much as I can with Opcat to then roll it into if and when it comes to Bitcoin. And I think what Opcat also allows is for that interaction with a chain like Solana, and how Arch is going to play a huge, and efforts like this are going to play a huge role in, using Bitcoin as a settlement layer to avoid a lot of this, nonsense wash trading and the security that it inherently brings. Um, so I know it doesn't exactly like answer. I don't think there was any question or any, but it's more so a topic. But I guess for the listeners and just for like the sake of me just rambling, is I do think Fractal and Bells are interesting because of the Opcat experimentation. I do think that Fractal is more of a VC extraction due to the fact that Unisat owns 50% of the token, but you know, where Bells is, I don't know if too many people know about Bells, but it's essentially the same thing, but without that. And so that's where my head's at
Well,
recently.
I mean, I guess that I want to kind of open up the stage too to get other people up, kind of share their views on a lot of this stuff too. I guess I am kind of curious if the users or the traders are willing to sacrifice some level of custodial risk associated to having protected transactions, And then beyond that too, Udi's more recent post not that long ago indicated that Opcat is going to allow for off-chain, I would say off-chain transactions or high-speed off-chain transactions, which again, I guess, that is quite interesting if the user actually wants a lot of programmability to happen off-chain itself. I mean, there's it's quite interesting. Udi's obviously a Bitcoin maximalist in a lot of ways, but he's also a user experience maximalist. But I think that post was quite telling of, maybe how he seems Opcat solving some of these problems and integrating into off-chain, I guess, VMs or programmability or
Hey, Farmer,
functionality.
sorry to cut you off. Perhaps you could pin that tweet just so we can
Yeah,
discuss
let
it in
me
a bit more
let me try
detail.
and find it actually while I'm here. But yeah, I know you have some interesting takes on this as well. But while I do that, let me try and find it just right now.
Well, he's been pretty vocal in the Ordinal Mondays chat that like I think it's completely fair to say that PSBT trustless swaps from the taker side is obviously realized already. DotSwap is doing it, but it's a little unrealistic to suggest that liquidity providers take on no trust assumptions at all, and also the fact that they're the ones that are earning some form of yield. It justifies a little bit of extra risk from their perspective. If you think about it, if you go to Ethereum or Solana and you LP into Uniswap, you obviously don't self custody your assets. You send it to a smart contract controlled wallet or a program derived address on Solana. This is like it's critical infrastructure that's needed to do shuffling of assets basically around the chain. So in crypto, you have two types of utility that has true product market fit. You have creation of new assets and you have shuffling those assets around the chain. So we've seen already the creation of new assets, with ordinals, with runes and BRC20, meme coins and all that. But we haven't had the infrastructural elements to allow to do us the trust minimized or trustless shuffling of those assets around the chain, which is certainly coming.
Yeah, so I just pinned the tweet that Udi sent out 3 days ago. It was based on a reply. So he mentioned Opcat will enable AMMs that settle off chain. Um, Again, I'm very intrigued at this. He's calling it an L2. But again, there is no chain here. So kind of curious how we're thinking about this, obviously, and if this is something that users will accept. If you can securely own all of these assets, I guess, on the L1, but then you're I guess taking risk because it's selling off chain. Yeah, just kind of curious as to what you guys are thinking about this one, because this one got me thinking a little bit more.
I mean, I'd love to hear Robert's. It's interesting to settle off chain. That just doesn't sound. Where's the intriguing part of that to you?
Well, that's kind of the controversial kind of take here is Opcat will enable off-chain settlement.
Oh, I guess what he's trying to say is like allow for settlement that uses Opcat to kind of verify the high like throughput and compute that's taking place for something like an AMM to exist in kind of a parallel execution type of way. These are all like kind of word salad bullshit stuff, but effectively it's like AMM is a lot of throughput, a lot of action, a lot that just to do it on Bitcoin layer one is just not cost effective. And I think for settlement to happen and then OpCap being able to be the verifier to then come back to Bitcoin and say, hey, here you go. Similar to like a ZK roll up, like proof type approach, but that's how I'm reading into it. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think the way I kind of read this is this tweet is he's basically saying, you'll put your addresses in an address, right? And let's just say for the sake of argument here, he's saying a opcat enabled trustless bridge to Solana. So you'll get your assets, your runes, your ordinals into this bridge. you can trade them infinitely fast within this kind of like at Bitcoin L2, whether it's Solana or again, it could just be anything. It could be Ethereum or Fractal even. But your assets are trading really fast in there, and then when you need them out, you can pull them out, and you could even theoretically do that within one block on Bitcoin. But I think he's really advocating for assets moving outside of Bitcoin, and again, we're talking about Bitcoin native assets moving to another chain, even if it's Bitcoin itself, right? You're just, at the end of the day, ordinals and runes are just like Bitcoin under the hood. So you can trade these assets really fast against each other, and then when you need them back on the actual mother chain, you can do so. I think that's what he's insinuating here, right?
Yeah, no, I pinged Udi on Mondays. Wanted to see if let's see if we can get him up here. I guess it would be quite interesting to get his take. Let me try and just DM him. Just give me 1 sec.
I heard if you say opcat enough, he just kind of appears.
Opcat. Son of a
Shazam.
Opcat. Everyone fucking hit up, just tag Udi, tell him to put his hat on, put his costume on, and come talk to us because we have questions. But I mean, I was listening to the Ordinal show yesterday, and Opcat, Cypher was saying, he'd be su- kind of surprised if it was next year. But I know there's a lot of people pushing towards this, but there's also a lot of people kind of against it. It is a very interesting thing. That's why, you know, I think Fractal is going to be. I just get huge pre rune mining vibes. Like people are claiming to be the first of so many things again. There's a lot going on, but I am really curious to see how sticky it is and how the it plays out. And Robert, have you been messing with it? Are you doing anything with StatFlow with Fractal, or are you kind of just looking? How are you approaching the Fractal release, or if are you even
Yeah.
doing
So I'm
anything?
keeping an eye on Fractal. I mean, obviously there's quite a lot of hype. There's some sort of pre-Fractal projects and whatnot, and I don't know. I'm just at the moment. I'm really just keeping an eye on it. I can't say I'm like super enthusiastic about building on Fractal today. Like, there's not a lot of kind of net new here that like from a tech standpoint to really get excited about, and I'm not super convinced on the staying power yet, but absolutely not counting it out. And I think as a lot of people have said, just keeping an eye on the developments. Attention commands building to some extent, but we ultimately still are convicted on Bitcoin first and foremost. That's the key. Why are we here? Why did like myself and my co-founders get involved in the space? And it's because we're excited about building on L1 BTC. And that's where all of our focus has gone for the past 18 months. It didn't go on stacks. When there's kind of a big wave of stacks development, and I don't think that's going to really change with Fractal here, but I'm trying to put that as politically delicate as I could, but I'm curious if Matt has a spicier take than that.
I think you said it pretty PC, but I'll just kind of leave it on a spicy take. Like, if we're going to create an L2, why are we going to limit ourselves to UTXOs and basically like a BSV fork? We need more performance. We need more scalability. And if we're going to do an L2 that requires you to bridge in, you probably should just go to the account model for scalability. But that's just my take.
I mean, my take is Bitcoin needs more innovation. You look at Barachain, you have Jerk to earn, you have Vape to earn, you have Baddies. I mean, there's just so much innovation. Anyways, Vape to earn, I don't even know the name of the company, but apparently they raised
Did
$6
you just
million.
say vape to earn?
Vape to
Yeah,
earn.
puff paw.
Yep. Yeah,
Vape to
Puff Paw.
earn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Smoke,
Holy shit. That's
Smokey also
dude,
mentioned that they are that they're bringing Jerk to earn and Simp to earn as well. So
bro. Crypto Twitter's about to earn so much, bro. Jesus fucking Christ! You're trying to tell
Proof
me,
of proof of cum and proof of what was the other one?
my God, Jesus
Proof of
Christ.
cancer.
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. Well, like,
pretty wild stuff. I mean, I haven't seen a runes distribution follow that level of degeneracy, but that's the type of innovation that I think that I think Bitcoin could actually use to make things a little bit more light and fun. Because we've been down bad. And I think maybe that's going to change soon. I think Q4 is certainly like the big inflection point of maybe broader programmability. Maybe, sir. I mean, Matt, any alpha that you can share as maybe when Arch Network. Yeah, just kind of curious there, sir.
Everyone saw the white paper get published a few days ago, which is kind of the first big event in a chain reaction of events that really will lead up to this big incentivized test net where we're allocating a large percentage of our air quotes points, wink, wink, to not only the community who want to play around with DeFi on Bitcoin, but also to support the next wave of builders who are coming into the space because they certainly need that, right? Like Bitcoin does not have a foundation that can give grants to builders to keep accelerating the ecosystem and its innovation. Ethereum does, Solana does, most chains do. So we have to take it upon ourselves as the projects in the space, like the infrastructure, like Satflow and ourselves, to try to empower the builders in the space so that they can actually go and build that you know good user experience and that application that's going to be responsible for the next leg up in DeFi and Bitcoin. I think that we're talking about before, this off-chain compute and why it's necessary. I think it's really easy to like call that unnecessary when you're just thinking in terms of Bitcoin swapping. We've seen the peer-to-peer order books exist for some time now. Now we're starting to see these multi-sigs that can enable trustless swaps on the layer one. But if you look at Solana and their evolved DeFi ecosystem, if you go and swap on Radium or something, you can look at the soul scan and you're pretty much guaranteed to be pulling from like three different pools of liquidity. That's like cross program invocation, right? Like you need to be able to have that composability to call multiple smart contracts inside of one smart contract. And that's just flat out impossible to do on Bitcoin. So if we're actually like subscribing to the idea that we're going to have BTC Fi in the future, we have to also subscribe to the idea that there's going to be some limited trust assumptions that LPs and certain users will have to make depending on the role that they are playing in this game. So and there's going to be yield that comes with that risk. So I think that it's generally warranted, but we're going to remain to see how it plays out. But I think that we're in the first inning of it. I think that the space kind of created a bunch of infrastructure and tooling first, and now we need to see a lot more consumer applications really because that's what's actually going to get the users in.
Yeah, no, I can't agree more. I mean, look, I've been doing a lot of research in my spare time on Solana, and the AMM models there are just drastically more advanced than anything on Ethereum. You have Meteora, you have Orca, which kind of innovated this like decentral or DLMM model. So much more capital efficient than kind of a generic non-concentrated approach. But then you also have the spillover effects of OpenBook and OpenBook V2, which came out of Serum. And that allowed, projects and I guess teams like Phoenix and a lot of the market makers on Solana to leverage a much more efficient market making model to allow them to match orders and so forth. So, I mean, look, there's just a lot more on Solana behind the scenes that makes the trading experience drastically better. And hopefully a lot of this can kind of come to Bitcoin at some point in time. We're still operating in 10-minute block time concerns, so maybe it won't necessarily be, the fastest high-speed trading engine unless we, yeah.
Well, that sort of
Uh,
speaks to Udi's post, right? Like Udi is, if I remember correctly, he's really talking about bridging out of Bitcoin so that we don't have to deal with these 10-minute blocks, right? One of the big reasons that we don't have opcat today is because people have concerns around minor extractable value. I think that those concerns are largely over, they're too big, largely because of 10-minute blocks, right? Like AMMs simply will not work with 10-minute blocks. I think that anyone who thinks that they will is in for a bit of a surprise. So I think that it's absolutely 100% required that Bitcoins and NFTs and inscriptions are actually bridged outside of Bitcoin so that we can get the same sort of like, really performant virtual machine that you see on Ethereum layer 2s, that you see on Solana today. And all of that stuff is actually extremely close. So I saw you guys asking a bit like, sort of like, okay, how do we actually bridge out of Bitcoin with opcat? Is that something that you guys would be interested in me sort of like kind of jumping into quickly? Because I think I can give a pretty good explanation.
You've got a great point there, Hobart. I just would, super aligned with everything you said. I would just add a minor delineation. Like, I think we're not advocating for bridging out of Bitcoin just to move to a different place within Bitcoin to make trading more efficient. Like, I think that's maybe a better way of thinking about it. Like, an opcat enabled address is still natively on Bitcoin. It's just potentially allows more programmability and such, or a trustless bridge to do more and execute if you see what I mean.
There 100%. There's two different categories here, right? Like we can do a script where opcat is active, and then we can maybe do some more sophisticated trading around that. But if that's on layer 1, we're still going to have those 10-minute block times. So I don't really think that we're going to ever have the really high quality of trading experience that we want. However, we will be able to bridge to Bitcoin layer 2s. So that's not outside of Bitcoin per se. It's still within sort of like the Bitcoin ethos. It's within as close as you can possibly get to the Bitcoin trust assumptions. So I think that that's probably where we have our most unlocks for trading is on layer 2. You can think of on Ethereum, I think the biggest breakthrough was probably dYdX, right? Like dYdX was the first time you really had like a roll up on top of Ethereum. It couldn't happen on layer 1. It was still on top of Ethereum, but this time it was via a layer 2. So I think we'll probably see something similar here. Like the 10-minute blocks are just not something that I can possibly see us getting over. So to speak like really, really briefly on how bridging would happen. So I work at Starkware. Starkware recently actually used opcat to create a zero knowledge proof verifier in Bitcoin script. So essentially what that means is currently with Bitcoin, when you spend them, there's certain spending conditions that can be attached to them, right? So they can have like only Farmer Joe can sign. Okay, so Farmer Joe now can sign. If Farmer Joe signs, he can move these over to Bunzi, right? Like that's a really simple one. And then it's like, okay, well, Bunzi can now sign, but Bunzi also has to be able to provide like the hash pre-image of something. So Bunzi needs a secret, and he can only sign and move these Bitcoin if he has a specific secret. So what we've done is we've essentially made it so that a person can only sign to move their Bitcoin if they're able to provide a valid zero knowledge proof. So what that can do is essentially embed state of a layer 2 of something much, much, much more expressive within a Bitcoin UTXO without having to re-execute all of the work of that layer 2. So currently the way that Bitcoin works, right, we all send transactions, we all re-execute all of the transactions, which are kind of emitted in the network, right? If Farmer Joe makes a transaction to Bunzi, it's like sort of like running a sprint, right? Everyone else has to run that sprint. And as a result, everyone has to work with like really, really low powered hardware devices. Zero knowledge proofs are a way to allow a really, really, really weak computer to monitor a supercomputer by checking the computational integrity of a statement rather than re-executing it naively. And without having to re-execute it naively, something that Bitcoin can't do, it can start to embed things into it just by like checking its computational integrity. It can embed things that it wouldn't be able to directly execute itself. So because we're not actually redoing the work ourselves, we never want to actually redo that work on Bitcoin, and we're just checking a statement. We can check a statement of something that we can't natively do on Bitcoin in Bitcoin script. And that's sort of what allows us to embed these really expressive L2 virtual machines. So whether it be a Solana L2 on top of Bitcoin that inherits sort of all of Bitcoin's trust assumptions, whether it be a Starknet L2 on top of Bitcoin that inherits all of Bitcoin's trust assumptions, or whether it be just like, to be honest, I think this is also really interesting, layer 2 Bitcoin which looks exactly like Bitcoin does today. It still has UTXOs. You can still fork Mempool Explorer to use it. It just has like significantly faster blocks and many more, many sort of like, you know, BSV, but with much shorter block times. Maybe there's a group of users who really want that. But the point is, today, if we have OpCat, we will be able to encumber Bitcoin with spending conditions of like being able to verify zero knowledge proof, which means within that zero knowledge proof, we can essentially embed any computational environment we want. So the cuffs are really off, like the golden handcuffs of layer one scaling Bitcoin, totally gone. We don't have to worry about 10-minute blocks. We can have millisecond blocks if we want. We don't have to worry about, oh, okay, like I have to use OpCat in order to weirdly recreate an AMM because I don't have multiplication. Well, we can verify the integrity of an L2, which does have multiplication on it. So the unlock here is just absolutely massive.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're all super excited to see what it kind of brings to the table over the next 6 months. I think it'll be, you know, a battle for programmability on Bitcoin. And I think the user experience applications that come about from it are going to be much more, you know, expressive and, you know, fully featured, fully rich as a Web3 ecosystem. You know, I would say feature parity is certainly still Bitcoin's core mission, but afterwards, you know, the innovation can kind of start to make its form. I wanted to kind of open up the floor too, because, you know, I pinned this tweet from Magic Eden on Bitcoin. You know, they're saying that they're going to free you from mempool sniping forever. I have Gnarl and make tokens fun. A penguin which I've duked around with, and I said that he should change his change his name to make tokens go up instead. But apparently that didn't pass Magic Eden's legal compliance team. What's up, guys? Wanted to have your take on what the heck you guys are going to be doing soon. When is this coming? I think a lot of people are excited to have, you know, maybe the trading experience that they come to know and expect from other chains. But I guess when is the question, and I guess how is another one. And does this make tokens go up?
First off, Farmer Joe, you are gonna get me in a lot of trouble, man. We gotta take it easy over here. uh, Thank you for having us up. It's super cool to be here. And for those who don't know me, I joined Magic Eden like I want to say 5 or 6 months ago. Used to work at an exchange doing an NFT marketplace over there. But yeah, it's great to be building on Bitcoin and in the Bitcoin community. This conversation is awesome though. Like it's like Hoba, what you were talking about before, getting the AMM function, getting like programmability and getting the AMM functionality on Bitcoin is like truly the big unlock. What we're doing at Magic Eden though, just to drop like some alpha, is like with this mempool sniping alpha is we still think we can push the L1 like a little bit further. I don't know if we'll ever get we're probably not going to get to like AMM type stuff. But the L1 I think can go like a little bit further, and so that's what we've just been working on is like seeing how far we can actually stretch Bitcoin L1 and the UTXO model to make an on-chain order book function without mempool sniping and without having like the intricacies and the problems associated with that. Because I think the big problem it's created that I realized is like the economic incentive goes to the miners rather than the sellers, which doesn't create a healthy and efficient market. And obviously, like you need to connect buyers and sellers to make a market work well. So yeah, I'll toss it over to I'm sure people have a lot of questions based
Sir,
on that, but
how? This is the question, and when? You've dodged basically both of my questions here.
all right,
Damn,
Farmer,
you guys are very political.
I'll hit you with the when first. The when is you'll
And
hear
don't give me soon as an answer, all right? Just don't give me as soon as an answer, Mr.
Soon.
Penguin.
Gnarl, do we have a date on when we're gonna like say exactly?
I don't think we do, but soon is a good answer. I think yeah, I don't know if we have like a launch date, honestly. Even obviously there's going to be a lot of testing So it's hard to say that. But the how you definitely won't get yet. I will say like the how is it's going to be a new
Does it
logic.
pass the Howie test?
It's not using like, I think people ask like, is it collection offers and stuff. It's not like that. It's going to be pretty cool. There's some pieces that are important. That's why we're saying get a Magic Eden wallet, because the sooner you do that, the better. That plays into it. So that's probably like the most alpha right now, just as it's still in the oven. But it's going to be pretty cool and innovative. And obviously, we'll get into it when the time comes, like explaining how the technology is working and everything. But there's obviously a lot of factors that play into it, when designing it. I think everyone knows like the struggle and the trade offs and non trade offs. So it took a lot of energy and a lot of time to think about it and just provide an option for people, to just totally protect buys and stuff.
I guess
Farmer.
the question that I have is, do I need to, on the trust assumption, will I need to just give Magic Eden my assets within the Magic Eden wallet to use this, or is this going to be maybe available to other wallets thereafter? Or obviously Magic Eden has a wallet, and it seems to be gaining adoption. There's a lot of swaps happening. But I guess initially is what I'm getting. The Magic Eden wallet will be the only one that supports, fully protected mempools. I guess snipe transactions. Is that right?
Short term, yeah, but it's a method that can be rolled out to all. It's just when you have the wallet, it's a lot easier to keep things connected between dApp and wallet. Um, so yeah, it's something that can be expanded to all. It's not like it doesn't have to be eventually limited to just the Magic Eden wallet.
Got it. I mean, the other part too is everyone's asking. There's been quite a bit of SEC Wells notices to NFTs themselves, collections, you name it, everything under the sun. Are our ordinals good? Are we safe?
Farmer Joe, I got my Twitter badge yesterday, man. Come on.
You know what? We can let Charfu answer that, because he's not.
Yeah, like those guys like are fully politics. Like, I'm not working for Magic Eden anymore. I'm not working for anyone anymore. I can say whatever I want. I think
Let's fucking go.
I love it.
Tarfu's
All
fully
right,
retired.
Sharpu, are we
Dude.
just trading digital securities despite
no, we're not trading digital fucking securities. We're in Bitcoin. Nobody can do us anything. Like, fuck the SEC. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, like I think like mempool sniping protection is gonna pump our bags. I honestly think it's gonna fucking pump our bags. But let's see.
All right, I appreciate the answer from Chartfu that no longer works for Magic
So
Eden.
I'm assuming the answer there is probably private mempools, because we've said it like 10 times.
It's not private mempools, but I do know a lot of people are working on that, which is cool. And I think that has its own benefits too, like private transactions and stuff, but it's not private mempools.
For
well,
sure.
much more
I know,
interesting
like, the
because it's
Rebar
not
team.
mempools, actually. That's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it does sound pretty cool how you guys were able to figure this out.
Another thing that I've seen recently is something we're exploring at Starkware. I guess I can also drop a bit of alpha. Is like the idea of an atomic swap between an L2 and Bitcoin. So, for example, if you have like USDT on Starknet, or if you have WBTC Ethereum on Starknet, there is ways via atomic swaps, which are sort of like I guess you could call it like slightly archaic technology, in order to atomically swap your asset on a layer 2, which is not necessarily connected to Bitcoin, with an asset on layer 1 Bitcoin. So it involves two wallets, right? You have to have a alt chain wallet, and you also have to have a Bitcoin wallet. The Bitcoin wallet, right, being where you collect your Bitcoin, and the alt chain wallet being where you sort of sell your your USDT or something like that. So that's another thing I'm kind of excited to see, just because I think that the inscriptions runes market sort of like lacks the marginal buyer right now, and by atomically and trustlessly linking pretty expressive layer 2s, which have really really densely populated users, it could sort of bring in a new marginal buyer to the ecosystem, which I think could be good for some of the incentives here.
Yeah, no, totally agree there. Chart, I guess, what other gaps on like the rune side do you want to see filled on like the trading experience, or anything? I know you're kind of a Solana maximalist, or kind of a Solana OG. You said you were going to drop a token sometime soon. I don't know if that's still your plan, but I guess, what gaps would you want to see filled on the rune side of things before you decide to do your meme coin token launch on Bitcoin rather than Solana?
There's a lot. There's actually a lot. Like that's just like the honest truth. Like, yeah, I do see value in like launching tokens on Bitcoin, but like, yeah, just like the whole infra needs to become like much better. And it's not just like trading. It's like everything around like DeFi. It's just like, yeah, there's just like too many things to like unpack for now. Like currently on the L1, which is, yeah, it's just like impossible. Like I think like we'll need like to bridge off to something trustlessly to enable this. Like, yeah, just like doing some things like on L1 is probably like an illusion. And I was like a part of this illusion, right? I don't know.
Damn, it sounds like you, ever since you left Magic Eden, you saw the light back to Solana. It sounds like, is that
No,
right?
I saw the light on Solana like way before I saw like the light on Bitcoin actually. So yeah, I was always like a soul in Bitcoin maxi. So like nothing changes for me. But I just like when you look at it, like I mean like you've been like a part of like Solana DeFi now, and like yeah, just like compared to everything else, like to ETH or any other chain, like you cannot like even put it into the same sentence. Like Solana was like built for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I resonate a lot of Toli's thoughts that Solana is going to become like the Nasdaq of all Web3 assets.
Yeah.
It's just really well built for it, and I think the people that it has attracted are very sophisticated market makers, traders, and so forth. Like people that build like algorithms around some of these trading strategies. I mean, it's the retail on Solana has such, I guess it's really hard to get an edge on Solana because there's so many things that are working so damn well to facilitate alpha for smart money in a lot of ways. Hopefully, on the Magic Eden side, and their focus on runes and the Bitcoin ecosystem, it gives hope to the small time players, the people that are interested in SloFi in a lot of ways, and maybe in an environment that there is this neutrality towards everything, but it also means the token prices seem to not necessarily go up as quickly.
Yeah, I'm never doubting like what Magic Eden is building, and I think like no matter like is it gonna be like on a Bitcoin L1 or is it gonna be like on an L2, like they gotta keep like pushing the boundaries. So like I'm not like worried about that, especially on the Rune side. Like I think like yeah, just like Magic Eden, like entering Bitcoin was like yeah, just like everybody in the company like fell love into like building on Bitcoin. And just like because it's so challenging to build on Bitcoin, it's yeah, it just like pushes everyone. So I'm not like doubting that like if DeFi happens on Bitcoin like big time, like I think like Magic Eden will be the leader no matter where.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people would agree with you, and a lot of people are obviously thankful for Magic Eden actually coming to Bitcoin. Ordinal's wallet was kind of first mover in the marketplace, but obviously, very quickly, as we noticed, with a good UX, UI, and a strong team around it, elements on anything Web3 can be disrupted very quickly. I guess now your role is what? I mean, you're part of the Magic Eden Foundation as an advisor, but
Yeah.
are you retired off the Web3 space? It seems like you can't necessarily leave. So you still got that dog in you.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to like leave. I don't know. I wish I hope like one day I will. For now it's like not happening. Yeah, I'm just like an advisor to like the ME Foundation, which is like a completely like separate entity. And yeah, just like helping the guys there like launch a token and go out like as strong as we can.
So it sounds like a token. Okay, that's that wasn't said by Magic Eden employees, so it sounds like
Magic Eden employee, like Magic Eden doesn't have like anything to do with the foundation though, so that's the thing.
Or Chartfu. So I have my
Are-
notifications on because now Chartfu could go
are these
totally unhinged.
I have an important question. Are the diamonds part of the foundation or are they part of the company?
Yeah, they're not like a part of the foundation. Like they don't have like anything to do with the foundation.
Got it. So there's no tokens for diamonds. Got it.
Farmer Joseph Fed.
Is that Joe Biden?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Also, like recording those spaces is just like just like suspicious.
Farmer Joe's asking too many questions.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'll ask you in person in Singapore when I see you, Chart. How about that?
Yeah, perfect. See you in Singapore. See everybody that's on stage in Singapore.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to just kind of throw it back to anyone in the audience. If there's any questions, obviously we have a stacked list of speakers in the audience. Yeah, obviously now is the time to ask any questions. Try to press these guys for any sort of intel that that we can. Obviously, they'll be political considering it's a recorded spaces. So maybe next time we won't record it just to get more out of people. But yeah, yeah, just anyone who wants to join, happy to have you up here. Otherwise, yeah, I guess curious, Chart, what do you think of Node Monks and Raktoshi?
Very bullish. Very, very bullish on Node Monkeys. Very bullish on Raktoshi. Very bullish on yeah.
Are you still a large holder of them? I know you were.
I am. I sold a lot. Like I did sell like almost the top. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I still own a couple.
Sir, I have a wallet tracker that was created by Ord Watchers on your wallet, and I know for a fact you did not sell the top on everything.
I did not. I definitely did not. I definitely did not. But yeah, Ord Watcher watches over like I would say like 25% of my Bitcoin portfolio in JPEGs. So good luck.
Perfect.
There's the alpha.
What does the
All right,
first
well,
letter of your address start with?
Well, yeah. What
You know how many addresses he probably has too on every chain.
Dude, Chartfu traded each piece of hair for an address.
I mean, I got to give Charfu a lot of credit because for someone who's been actively involved in a company in the Web3 ecosystem, this guy is demon mode trader of all things. You know, shit coins, runes, ordinals, Solana, NFTs. Yeah, I guess you really go crazy over these things, don't you, Chart? And I guess
I mean, yeah.
are you still trading actively? You'd say, or are you kind of?
I kind of like just like chilling now. Like I started to like trade like the chop like and like I got like wrecked. I lost like a couple of mil on perps and then I just like stopped. So yeah. I'm just like just like entering some stuff. Like I started like entering some ordinals like beginning of summer, right? Although it was like probably like already like too early, but yeah. Just like building some positions, right? Because I still do think like we're like in the bull run.
Dude, only you can come up here and say, "Yeah, I lost a couple of mil, but it's all chill."
I mean, it is like you win some, you lose some. Like especially when you're like when you're a retarded idiot that's like trading like the chop on like perps. And like I traded like meme coins on perps, so like I basically deserved it, right? So no point in hiding.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess on Solana, is this on chain on any specific
No,
kind of perp text, or is this?
no. I'm trading like mostly on Bybit and Binance when they just like those meme coins. And then like I do like a lot of on-chain stuff. I also trade like I have like phases where I traded like pump.fun coins as well, because like just like the gains were like crazy. You could make like I don't know, like 100 sol a day, like really fucking easy.
I mean, easy to you is not so easy for others, because for every winner there's a loser, and
Exactly.
I can certainly say that I've had zero luck in trading any sort of pump on coins, because I guess I just don't have an edge. So I stick to Bitcoin, where I feel like I have some informational edge, and at least an understanding of the culture here that tends to gravitate towards certain things. But yeah, I honestly haven't been trading actively pretty much over the last little
Yeah, it
while.
seems
I
to
mean,
me like you're just like sleeping too much, right? Like
I'm
like
I've
my edge is like not sleeping at all, you know?
Yeah, if
Like
you've
I
seen
can
Surfer behind the scenes, like I've seen him in demon mode, and it's like the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like he'll be on the couch, like eyes rolling behind his head, and like he'll go numb for a couple seconds, but then his eyes will just come back, and he'll move his finger on the laptop again, and just like breathing heavy, and like that's who you're up against, which is you're not gonna win that unless you get like possessed by a demon.
I'm just gonna be happily stacking my node monks here, and puppets, and hopefully the market returns. Make tokens fun becomes make tokens go up with all the stuff that comes out over the next little while, and yeah, I think allowing people to actually get their orders, allowing the whales to sweep dozens of these assets at a time without getting kind of I mean, the way that I guess a lot of people don't know this, but if you sweep a transaction and one of those, let's just say, orders or node monks or puppets or whatever you're buying gets sniped, your whole order is basically canceled. So yeah, it's that kind of prevents there to be any sort of whales, as Udi would like to say, the ancient Bitcoin whales. When they try and sweep, they certainly get discouraged
Yeah,
very
that's
quickly.
fucked. That's like really fucked. Like whales are not traders, right? Like people like like that's like a main difference from like that like people don't understand. People consider like big traders are big whales, which is completely like not true, right? So what a whale does, like he just wants to fucking sweep and hold his asset for like a longer time, right? And if he gets fucked by that, like by somebody like sniping it, like yeah, he'll get pissed, right? And he'll like reconsider if he wants to like actually do it again, right? And then if he does it again and if he gets sniped again, he'll get like fucking pissed, right?
Yeah, to add on that too. Sorry, I'm walking out and get some lunch right now. But to add on that too, like I mean, that's the catalyst of the market. Like the market always makes a turnaround when, or NFT markets, at least in my experience, make a turnaround when there is a big sweep. Like that is like the kind of like the moment where the charts kind of like start to break out. So I mean, that's what the market needs, the catalyst. And just to touch on the other subject too. I'm pretty bearish on sleep too. My all winter, I swear to you, I'm dead serious right now. My best trades in the past like year. I wake up at like 2 a.m., get on Twitter, scroll for like hours, find something. The best trades I made past year. I swear. Go back to bed at 5 a.m. I'm not. I wish I was joking. I literally wish I was joking, but I'm also pretty active in the Solana trenches as well.
Yeah, it seems like a common theme for anyone working at Magic Eden is you got to have a degen trader on your resume to really fit with the rest of the team.
Yeah, you ever heard of oh my god. The probably the craziest one I did was probably Omnom, if you know what that is. I woke up one morning at 2 a.m. and bridged a bunch of money to Dogechain to like buy this meme on Dogechain, and it did. That Omnom token did pretty well. I mean, it obviously went back to zero, but like they all did. But that was probably my most degen play because Dogechain is like whack, to be honest with you. Well, it's not. I mean, sorry if anyone's involved with Dogechain, but getting money to and from there was interesting.
All right, has anyone from the Magic Eden team messed with bells? Speaking of Doge, Chartfu, have you seen any of this?
No, I really don't sleep a lot, and I have like a lot of time, but like I don't have time for like this. I have like time for like, let's say, like 2-3 ecosystems, 2-3 narratives. But yeah, like this is
Okay.
even like too much for me, honestly.
So Chartfu is retired, just not even wasting money on shampoo anymore, chilling with limited time to focus on these ecosystems. The ones that you do, what are like some of the signals that you're like, all right, I'm gonna wake out this nap, put the pina colada down, grab the phone, and go into that mode, that savage mode. What are like are you what are like 2 or 3 things that you look for?
Man, it's just like, yeah, being like really, I don't know, like what trenches mean for like different people, but like I'm like part of like 3 or 4 like Telegram chats that are like, when I see them like going like ham for something, I know it's gonna happen on crypto Twitter like in the next like 5 to 6 days. And
Gotcha.
that's like, honestly, like I don't need like another signal. Like when I see that happening on the Twitter timeline, what's happening in my chats until then, that's like, yeah, that's where I go like crazy, right?
Gotcha.
Or
There,
I mean, like with Bitcoin, it was just like, I don't know. With Bitcoin, with ordinals, it was just like so fucking obvious. I don't know
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how
I
to
feel that.
explain it, right? It was just like fucking NFTs, like JPEGs on Bitcoin. Come on, right? Like you don't need to like think twice. Whoever like did think twice, like ended up like, like crying. Oh, I bought your bags. Yeah, of course you bought my bags.
Of course, dude.
Chart. I
I've
guess
bought chart food bags for sure. Like, there's
what are
no
you
doubt.
bullish on, Chart? Like, what are you bullish on these days on the Bitcoin ecosystem? I mean, you mentioned node monks, as a large holder
Yeah.
of them, but runes wise, are you bullish kind of, on the blue chips? I guess just kind of
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I'm bullish like on like 4 to 5, like there's like 4 collections like on the ordinal side, which is like quantum cats, which is OMB, which is like puppets, and then like node monkeys. That's like something I'm like, yeah, I just see like inevitable, right? I don't see like a way of like how those like don't perform well. And then there's like probably like a lot of, yeah, just like some other collections, like I don't know, like Bitcoin punks, right? Like my bandits. There's like, yeah, just like those older collections that will perform well. I'm just like not sure if it's gonna be like this cycle or next cycle or in like 3 cycles. But they're gonna do good, right? Because like they're keeping the communities, right? And they're like yeah, there's like just like provenance on Bitcoin, which is, yeah, maybe like you don't see it, like maybe it's hard to like for people to see it now, but like, yeah, it's just gonna happen. And then like on the rune side, like, yeah, like Billy is like probably like the best thing that came out of, like in my opinion, out of runes, like $1 billion cat. It's like a meme coin that I think if it was launched on Solana, it would be like a 500 mil to like a 1 bill
Yeah, it's like the
meme.
Mog. It's like the Mog of Bitcoin. It's the easily
Yeah,
memeable. You can put it onto any. It's like
yeah,
cross pollination. Fucking
yeah. It's,
gorgeous.
it's it's crazy what the guys did. Like I'm like I still like I'm like really super impressed. But what the guys did there.
So
I don't
I
know. Like
actually,
what
I was
else?
just, oh, sorry, Sharpfood.
Yeah, yeah. Just like nothing like in particular, but like if runes run, there's gonna be like, yeah, winners. Like, yeah, dog is gonna win big, right? Arsic is gonna be there, right? Psycho, like also like, yeah, Psycho Hamster, right? Like that's like a meme that would like, man, like it would kill like on any other like environment, right? I don't know. Like the content is just like too good.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, $1 billion cat is kind of like the beta on dog. If dog does well, the billion-dollar cat will do, I would say, multiples of the return. Obviously, the way that I see it is the longer we have this lull, the more Lindy this billion-dollar cat really becomes, and the less disruptable it is from another cat coin. Um, it's hard just to compete with the Billy guys in the community because they're all just working so hard for their bags, and it's a kind of a shame that it is only a $10 million meme coin, like you said. Like if
It's
this
a
was on
joke.
Solana,
It's
if this was
it's
on
like an
Solana, a
absolute
couple hundred
joke,
mil, no problem.
right? I don't know. Like I was like, man, I would love to like just like fucking copy paste everything they did and just like put it on Solana. Like, yeah, it's such a shame.
Well, I mean that there's the opportunity there, right? So over time, whether it's in a couple months or next year, it certainly is an interesting one that can
Yeah,
perform well with new momentum. I
I'm
mean,
pretty
the
sure
other
they're gonna do well, like in like even like in this like environment that we're now. So I'm like no matter what happens, like those guys are gonna do well. No matter like if it's like now when Bitcoin L1, or if they bridge somewhere, or if Bitcoin gets like a solution, they're gonna do well because like they're killing it, right?
Yeah,
So
and I guess the other part that we kind of we talked about this whole freeing of mempool sniping forever for ordinals, but it also is monstrously more important in any sort of fungibles environment too. The last thing you want is someone trying to make like a 50K order, sweep the floor, and then having that order totally break.
yeah,
Um, I guess the other part is like dot swap is trying to compete with having custodial pools. The volumes there are showing pretty promising, despite the liquidity providers themselves taking on custodial risk. Wanted to know what you're thinking about that as a
yeah,
proposition here.
yeah. Just like I don't see it scaling. Like I just don't see it, right? Like yeah, it's cool. Like it's awesome. Like yeah, we have solutions to do it. Like like Magic Eden as like a trusted third, like like a big company, like could do it, but like I don't see it like working because like the point is like yeah, like you're having like actually custody of all those funds, like and all those protocols like being like fully decentralized and fully permissionless, right? And you're not just like having that risk, although like the risk is like really low with a trusted like third party, but there's still risk, right? And that's what the whole movement to going on chain is about, right? So we own our assets, right? So
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean we've seen something like this actually occur on stacks, right?
yeah,
Alex's blowout of tens of millions of dollars really hurt the whole ecosystem,
yeah,
nearly killed stacks and all viability of having an AMM on stacks.
yep,
Particularly because it was I can't remember what it was, but the key structure to the actual liquidity pools was not I would say safeguarded enough, and a phishing attack was able to extract those keys from a specific person of the team itself, and poof, there we go. All of the
it's gone.
SBTC and all of your assets just absolutely vanished. And of course, we want to at least prevent catastrophic black swan events on Bitcoin. And I just personally if we start to accept the custodial angle as a viable angle, then when the problem or the opportunity becomes big enough, the North Korean hackers are just going to go crazy. Is the way that I
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like absolutely. And that's like then like you ask yourself like a question. Oh, why are we even doing blockchains? Like, why are we even like here, right? Like, what's the point, right? Like, if it's like that, like let's just have Wall Street, right? Like, and let's just have like like big databases, and let's have it, right? Like because like the experience is gonna be like 100% better, right? Like with a database, with a simple database, like everything is so fucking smooth, right? But like the point is like yeah, like we need something better. Like everyone in the world like needs something better. Like we need like things to be like 100% transparent because like otherwise we're just staying like on the same.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I think we're gonna start wrapping up the show right now, but appreciate all the Magic Eden current and former employees come up on stage and share their views. It's great to chat with you guys, to pick your brains a little bit more. Chart, you're always welcome as a homie. And obviously everyone else that joins on a show by show
Only if
basis.
the Magic Eden starts spilling some more beans, dude. No more soons.
We'll come
Next
back.
time we need date. Not just playing.
We'll
No,
come
this
back
is dope.
We'll come back like next week.
Yeah, come back when you got a date, sir. All right, come back next week.
It's a
All right, that
date.
sounds good. That sounds good. We'll have a date by next week. That's alpha. All right, let's wrap up the show, Bunsey. Appreciate everyone that joined, all the speakers and all of the guests in the audience. Time to wrap this up. Till next time.
Yes, sir. Well, we got one more request, Kiwi. Kiwi, what do you got? What do you got? And Charfu and the whole Magic Eden team. Robert, thanks for cruising. And Chart, dude, the retired life. Let us know how it's like. Um, you you have been one of, like Farmer said, the guy that's been I would say that near Coop with calls and some of the cooler, more innovative, reading the writing on the wall, understanding memetics and really what moves this market, not like LARP TradFi stuff. So it's fucking it's dope. But Kiwi, what do you got before we wrap this up? Really? You're muted. But all right, well, until next time, it's been real. Kiwi, we gave you a chance, but lights are turning off on you. And we will see you fucking next, whatever it is.
Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern.